What exactly are hops? Welcome to Brewing 101, brought to you by Great Fermentations. Today we're diving into hops, talking about what they are and the crucial purpose they serve in every beer that you consume. But before I talk too much about what hops are, let's talk about what they aren't. Hops are not alcohol. They don't get you drunk. They don't make the beer any stronger. They don't add calories. They certainly don't affect the color or make it any darker. So what exactly is a hop? It's a flower, specifically the cone of the hop plant known as Humulus lupulus. Though small, its influence is major. Hops add three major components to brewing. They add a bitterness that balances the sweetness of the beer. They add a flavor, anything from earthy to spicy, tropical fruit, floral, and they add that beautiful aroma that you perceive in every beer that you drink. The best way to think about hops is they are the seasoning that you put on top of your malt profile. For example, if you buy an expensive ribeye steak and you're cooking it, you're just going to sprinkle a little bit of salt to complement the natural flavor of that meat because you want that natural flavor to shine through. It's the same thing when you make a malty beer. You put just a delicate amount of hops to bounce the bitterness, but you let that malt profile shine. On the complete other end of the spectrum, you can imagine making heavily seasoned tacos, where the meat becomes almost an afterthought, completely lost in complex layers of bold seasoning and herbs and spices. This is comparable to an IPA, where we aggressively add the hops for flavor, bitterness, aroma, and they become the star of the show. So how do we actually control which of these components of the hops end up in the beer? Well, it all comes down to timing. The most common method is the wort boil. As a reminder, the wort is that sweet malty liquid that will later become beer once the yeast is added. Traditionally, we boil wort for about an hour. When you add those hops during that hour, dramatically affects what you get from those hops. For example, if you add the hops right at the beginning of the boil, you generally get virtually all bitterness with no flavor or aroma almost whatsoever. If you add the hops with about 15 minutes left in the boil, you'll get a little bit of bitterness, a moderate aroma, and a strong hop flavor. After the boil is ended but the wort is still hot, some brewers will perform what's called a whirlpool, where they'll whirlpool the wort around, add the hops then. This gives you virtually no bitterness, a moderate hop flavor, but a nice strong aroma. And then lastly, there's dry hopping, which is when you put the hops directly in the fermenter during the fermentation process, generally near the end of fermentation, and this adds no bitterness whatsoever, a mild flavor, but a really strong hop aroma. There are all kinds of other innovative and creative ways to add hop flavor, aroma, and bitterness, and ways that are still being developed, but these are the main ways that most brewers use currently. Next, you may be wondering how brewers know how many hops to use in a beer. The main way to quantify this is by knowing the alpha acid percentage of the hops. This percentage is scientifically measured by hop growers and always written on the packaging. Though this percentage can change slightly from hop year to hop year, it essentially tells us how much bitterness and intensity we can expect from the hop. There are advanced formulas that can calculate estimated IBUs, or international bittering units, for a recipe based on several factors. These factors include the alpha acid on the hops, the amount of ounces or grams we plan to use in the recipe, how we plan to use them, and what the rest of the recipe is. Thankfully, we have some amazing brewing software where we can just punch the recipe in and it tells us all these stats. Finally, you may be wondering, how does a brewer decide which hops they want to use in a recipe? After all, there are literally hundreds of hop varieties to choose from, each with their own unique characteristics that they add to the beer. If you want to make a simple beer-flavored beer, you'll probably use a classic German noble hop, like Hallertauer Mittelfrüh. Or if you want to make a juicy, hazy IPA, you'll probably look for hops that have strong tropical fruit flavors like pineapple, passion fruit, grapefruit, mango, melon, you name it. There's all kinds of different flavors out there, all kinds of varieties. It's up to us as brewers to do the research to figure out which hops we actually want to use. And there's great websites out there that we can use that'll show which hops have different flavors, and you can also compare varieties to make substitutions or whatever you need to do. In conclusion, we as brewers are essentially chefs. We have a vast variety of seasonings at our fingertips in the form of hops, and it's up to us to decide which ones are best for the specific beer we want to make and how we want to use them. Whether you want to keep it simple or go crazy, this simple little flower goes a long way in making this beautiful beverage we call beer. I hope you learned something today about this beautiful plant. And if you like this video, please hit that like button so the algorithm knows that you enjoyed this content and pushes it out to more people. And hit that follow button for more info because I plan to make more videos like this covering various other topics about beer and brewing. And if you want to brew like me, Remember, you can get all the equipment and ingredients you need from Great Fermentations. So go to www.greatfermentations.com, get yourself started, or if you already brew, make your next batch. Thanks for watching.